Hey guys, I just wanted to hop on and do a couple of examples from this worksheet. That's I don't know if you can read it up at the top there, it's a little cut off. 2.1 worksheet, completing the square and transforming equations. So the front side, 1 through 6, should be pretty straightforward. You're just completing the square like you normally would. Just make sure that A is 1. If it's not, you got to divide everything by whatever A is, and you can go from there. What I did want to take a look at was this second page. And okay, there we go. So the directions on here, hold on. There we go. Okay, so the directions for number 7 through 10, you're supposed to rewrite this equation in vertex form. If you look up any videos on how to do this, there is a way to do it. I think that's way more difficult than it has to be, personally. I don't know. There's a very easy way to do it. If you remember anything about vertex form, you have H and K in there. H comma K is the coordinate of your vertex. Okay, so you probably saw that in algebra 2. So that H comma K gives you your vertex. I go over it in another video coming up, but real quick, let's just do an example here. Let me see if I can get to let's just pull up a whiteboard. Okay, so there's vertex form of a quadratic. H comma K is your vertex. And then A is just everything that it was even in standard form. So if A is positive, it's up like a cup. If A is negative, it's down like a frown. It can also tell you if it's going to be wide or narrow. So the bigger A is, so if the absolute value of A is something bigger than 1, that's going to make narrow graphs. And if the absolute value of A is less than 1, you're going to get wider graphs. And I'm using absolute value because the sign just tells you if it's up or down. Okay, so hopefully this is sounding familiar from algebra 2. You probably even saw this in algebra 1. So let's just do an example real quick. If I gave you this equation, and I asked you what the vertex of this was, well, it's always just going to be, again, anything in there with x, you really want to do the opposite of what you see. So it's going to be -2, comma, and then whatever this number is. So the vertex is literally just that easy, -2, comma, -3. So you don't have to compute anything. It's just there. You see it. Great. Okay. The other thing that I want to remind you of, in case you forgot, is if you are not in vertex form, how to find the vertex, because that's what I'm going to use to rewrite an equation into vertex form. So let's try this. Let's get a new whiteboard. So if you had an equation like this, let's just do something, x squared minus 4x, I don't know, minus 5, who cares? If I asked you to find the vertex of this thing, do you guys remember how to do that? You had to start with negative b over 2a. That gets you the x coordinate of the vertex. Now, remember the vertex is a point, x comma y, right? So how do you get the y part? You're just going to take that answer that you got for x and plug it right back into the equation and see what pops out. So if I do negative b over 2a and I get out, let's say 17, you take 17, you plug it back in for x, see what comes out, and then that would be your vertex, right? So in my example, I would do negative b, so b is -4, so -4 is now 4 over 2 times a is just 1, so I would get 2. Now I need to take 2 and plug it back into the equation to figure out what the y coordinate is, right? So let's say that'd be 2 squared is 4 minus 8 minus 5. That's going to get me -9. So that means my vertex is at 2, -9. Okay, so a nice convenient way to write this is that the vertex is always at -b over 2a, comma, f of -b over 2a. If f of x is your function, right? Because that's all you're doing. You're taking -b over 2a, getting out a value for x, taking that and putting it back into the function. So writing that in function notation looks like that. Okay, so I'm going to be doing this to write my equation to change something from standard form into vertex form. So let's do a problem out where I show you how to do that. And let's see if I can get that page back up. Give me 1 second while I find it. Okay, here we go. Okay, so let's go to the second page. And yeah, okay, so let's just go ahead and do number 7 together. Okay, so the easiest way to do this, in my opinion, is to just go ahead and find the vertex. And then once I have H and K, the only other, oh wait, sorry, H and K, the only other thing that I'm gonna need is A, but I already know what A is. Like if I look at number 7, A is just the coefficient of the x squared. So in this case, it's just 1. So that's pretty easy. Number 9, take a look at number 9. A is just 2, right? It's just that coefficient of x squared. So if I know what the vertex is, it's actually pretty easy for me to rewrite it that way. So finding the vertex is not particularly difficult as long as I know to do -b over 2a and then f of -b over 2a. So let's see what I get in this case. That would be a +8 over 2. That gets me 4. So it's going to be a 4 comma something. Just take that 4, pop it back in. That's going to be a 16 minus 32 plus 12 is -4. So that means the vertex of this thing is at 4, -4. So all I have to do to rewrite this equation in standard form, turning it into vertex form, just pop in all the pieces, right? So y equals a is 1. So I don't even need to, I'll write the 1, but you don't need it. Times x minus h. So remember that's h and that's k. So that'll be x minus 4. Close it, square it, and then plus k. There it is. Okay, so I think that's so much easier than doing it other ways. So if you just, go on YouTube and search rewriting equation into vertex form, there's a much more complicated way to do it. I don't know. I'm not a fan. So this works great. Yeah, that's pretty much it for those. So now let's see. Let's take a look at one down here. Now you're just gonna, let me erase all this old stuff. Okay, so just taking a look at the bottom here. Now you want to rewrite this from vertex form. Now you want to go in standard form. Well, really your easiest way here is to literally just do the problem out. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take that and square it, do that out. So that's going to get me what? X squared minus 6x plus 9. And then I have that minus 7. Don't forget about that. That's one of the most common mistakes, is that you kind of forget that that's hanging out there. And now just simplify, guys. Well, that wasn't bad. And I'm done. Okay, so hopefully this, this worksheet's not too bad for you. Okay, all right, good luck.